team, I hope you're all well. Today I am going to be recommending you some books based on my favourite tropes. My lovely friend Zoe has requested this video. I do get quite a lot of questions sometimes when I talk about my favourite tropes for recommendations, so I thought I would do a video for you. So I have 5 different tropes to go through with you. We have fake dating, friends to lovers, those are my top 2 favourites. We've got forced proximity, grumpy sunshine and forbidden love. So those are the 5 tropes that I'm going to be going through. I have between 5 and like 7 or 8 recommendations for each. I'm not going to go through the full synopsis of each of these books. If you're interested in them, please do go and check out the synopsis of them, otherwise this video will be so freaking long. And some of the books cross over with other tropes, so I will mention those as well. I will give you like a very quick rundown of what the book is about, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about them. Okay, so we are going to start off with this stack for fake dating. I really enjoy fake dating and have done for a very long time, so I am excited to share with you some of my favourite fake dating books. The first one is the second in a series, and it is the Brown Sisters series. Would recommend Get a Life Chloe Brown, it's absolutely fantastic, but my favourite in the series is Take a Hint Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. This one is obviously fake dating and it is following Danny and Zaf. Zaf is a rugby player and Danny is a lecturer, I think. And they end up fake dating for a PR stunt for Zaf. And I think it helps Danny out as well, and it's just absolutely adorable. There is bisexual rep in here because Danny is bi as well, and I loved this one. It was absolutely fantastic and would recommend. Next we do have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is the first in the Off Campus series and I love this one. We follow Hannah and also Garrett. Garrett plays for the hockey team. Yeah, Garrett plays for the hockey team at their college and he needs some tutoring, and in exchange for the tutoring from Hannah, she gets a pretend date. And this is absolutely adorable. She hasn't got a lot of like dating experience and she's hoping that Garrett might be able to help her out with that, and also in the bedroom. And they end up fake dating for a while and it's just adorable. I freaking love this. I was so invested in Hannah and Garrett's story, and I would like to reread this one soon as well because I really did enjoy it. The new covers are absolutely stunning as well. I'll show a picture of the new cover here. Stunning. Really like this one. Next we do have a book that I have reread at least twice, if not 3 times. I really enjoy this book, and it is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This one follows Georgia and also Travis. Georgia is the baby in her family and the only girl in her family as well, and she hasn't followed the footsteps of the rest of the family with the family business. She is actually like a clown for kids' parties. That is her literal job and she loves it. She loves every second of it. Travis used to be a baseball player but ended up having an injury quite early on in his career, and now he helps the Castle family flip houses. He is Georgia's brother's best friend, and she ends up coming up with this wild idea that they start fake dating. First of all, it helps her out because it will stop her family as seeing her as the childish little kid that they think she is. They still see her as a child, and that is not the case. And it helps Travis out because he's sick to death of people coming up to him and recapping the highlights from his career and all these women throwing themselves at him. So they end up fake dating and it's absolutely adorable, and I love this one a lot. Then we do have The Kiss Quotient by Anna Huang. This one follows Stella, who has autism, and she's not good at dating. She doesn't know how to date, and she's looking for some experience in the bedroom so that she can get out there a little bit more. Her mum keeps mithering her that she should start dating more and find someone to marry and settle down with. She's very successful in her career and she ends up hiring a male escort called Michael to help her out with this, and they end up fake dating for a while to appease the people in her life that keep mithering the shit out of her, and they end up falling in love inevitably. This is absolutely adorable and I really enjoy this one. I think I've read this twice now and I have a good time with it every single time. And the last book for fake dating that I have is The Family You Make by Jill Shalvis. This one follows Levi and Jane, and they end up stuck in a ski lift one day together. They've never met each other before, they're strangers. They end up stuck in a ski lift and they're pretty convinced, well, Levi is a little bit extreme and pretty convinced that he's going to die. So he phones his mum to tell her that he is stuck in the lift with his girlfriend Jane and he's not sure if they'll be able to make it out. Well, he ends up sending her a message or leaving her a voicemail or something. Anyway, they end up making it out and then he's kind of stuck with the fact that he's told his mum, his family, that he has a girlfriend called Jane and he asks her if she will step in for a while and be his fake girlfriend. They can end things amicably at the end and it will all be okay. So they agree to fake dating. Jane is new to town. She is a doctor or something, I can't remember. She's a medical professional of some sort and she's new to town, and I loved this so much because it's not just about the relationship between these two, it's all of the side characters as well. The family dynamics in here are incredible and I absolutely love them. Levi's family is so cool and I love all the books in this series, so would highly recommend this one. Fake dating in here is outstanding as well, done very, very well. Next, we do have Friends to Lovers. I have quite the stack here, and we are going to start off with one that is part of a series, and that is Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is book 3 in the Chestnut Springs series, and we are following Jasper and Sloane. Sloane is a cousin of the Eaton family. Jasper is kind of like an adopted brother, but not officially, so he's not related to them. And Jasper and Sloane have been best friends since they were kids. Now, they're currently going through heartbreak for 2 different scenarios at the beginning of this book, and they help each other out massively, and during that healing process they end up falling in love with each other, and it's absolutely adorable. I loved this so much. This is how you do Friends to Lovers, because you get the experience of them being friends first, so that you're invested in them being together and you're like, these two are the perfect couple and I need this to happen. You end up shipping them as a couple. I think books that don't do Friends to Lovers very well are the books that don't give us that opportunity to get to a point where we start to ship them. So they start, you know, they're friends at the beginning of the book for a very small period of time and then they're diving into a relationship, and we haven't had time to get invested in that like the rest of the characters in the book that are already invested. So this one did it very, very well, and I absolutely love this book. Next, we have a new one to my TBR and a new love of mine, and this is Lights Out by Kayla James. This one, these two start off as strangers, but they very quickly become friends, and like the best of friends. They're spending a lot of time together. This will show up in a couple of these different tropes. They end up spending a lot of time together. They are on the same F1 team. She's the first female F1 driver ever, Blake, and Ryder is a 4-time world champion that has been out of racing for 18 months due to injury, and they end up spending a lot of time together, becoming really good friends, like best of friends, until the romance blossoms. And I was so invested in these two. It was done so, so well, and the F1 elements of this were fantastic. So if you're looking for a sports romance, Friends to Lovers, no third act breakup, this is perfect, and I will tell you about this in a couple more tropes in a second. Then we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, or in the UK, You and Me on Vacation. I'm not sure what the reason was for changing that title. If you're going to change anything in this title for the UK, vacation would be holiday, because that's what we call it in the UK. Anyway, this one was really good. We follow Poppy and Alex, who have been best friends for the longest time, and for the last several years, every summer for a decade, they have taken one glorious week of vacation together. They live quite far apart, and so for the last 10 years they've taken a glorious holiday together, until 2 years ago when they ruined everything. They haven't spoken since. Now Poppy is in a situation now where she wants to take one last holiday with Alex and try and rekindle their friendship, because she misses him so much. So she gets him to agree to go on this holiday, and their friendship takes the next step during that holiday. At the time when I read this, I was in the process of my relationship becoming the next level, so from best friends to lovers, and it was perfect timing for me to read this book, and I absolutely love it. I saw me and Andy in this book so much, and any book that does friends to lovers well, that I see me and Andy represented really, really well, is immediately going to be a hit for me, because I know the friends to lovers trope personally. And this one was fantastic, and I read it at the perfect time. Next we do have a queer romance, and this one is Him by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. I loved this. This is a series. Us is the second one, and then there is a novella called Epic as well. And this is following Jamie and Ryan. So they were teammates back in the day, if I remember correctly, on the ice at hockey camp they went to when they were 18. And it's been 4 years since they've spoken to each other. They were best friends, and it's been 4 years since they spoke to each other after things got a little bit weird on the last night of summer camp. Ryan is gutted that he's lost his best friend, and he made a move on his straight best friend Jamie, and 4 years have now passed and they end up back at camp again. This time to coach at the camp. Jamie's looking for an explanation as to what happened. Ryan is ready to go in with an explanation and an apology, but when he sees Jamie again, his crush just completely washes over him all over again. And it goes from there, and I absolutely love this one. I was still, even though they didn't speak for like 4 years, I would still just say that this is best friends to lovers, or friends to lovers, because they started off as best friends, and then it's not that they hated each other, they didn't turn to enemies, so it wasn't best friends to enemies to lovers. It's still best friends, they just stopped talking for reasons. But I love this one. This was absolutely fantastic and a very, very easy, quick read. Next we have Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, which is the sequel to It Happened One Summer, and we meet Fox and Hannah in the first book. Hannah's sister is the main character in the first book, and basically they live in a small town. Fox has allowed Hannah to crash at his place while she gets herself on her feet, and mistakes may have been made. Fox has got the biggest crush on Hannah, but he's deemed a little bit of a player, and they spend a lot of time hanging out. They've got a lot in common and building their friendship up, and things become more. Again, this was a really good representation of friends to lovers, because we got a lot of them building their friendship up and being friends before the relationship moved to the next stage, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I liked this one more than It Happened One Summer, and I really did enjoy It Happened One Summer, so this was a great one. And finally for this trope we have Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. I read this one recently during Christmas. We're following Stella and Luca. Stella runs a Christmas tree farm and Luca is her best friend, and she enters a competition that will basically help her out with the farm financially. And when she applied for the competition, she said that she ran the farm with her boyfriend, the boyfriend that does not exist. So she ends up asking Luca if he will step in as her fake boyfriend to help her out with this competition. Naturally, he says yes, he's her best friend, he will do anything for her, and things go from there. These two are adorable, and I was so invested in their friendship and their relationship, and I shipped them so hard. They were very, very, very cute. Even as friends, they were adorable. So I really, really enjoyed this one, would highly recommend. Okay, next we have Forced Proximity, characters that are forced to be close to each other. We are going to start off with Lights Out, a book I've already recommended. Again, this one is Forced Proximity on the basis that A, they are teammates and they work together, and B, Blake ends up living at Ryder's house. Incredible. Fantastic. I don't need to explain that book much more. I've already told you pretty much the basis of the synopsis. Next, we do have another one from the Chestnut Springs series, and this one is Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is my favourite in the series. We're following Cade, Ethan, and also Willa, and basically Willa comes in as a live-in nanny for Cade because he has a daughter. Forced proximity to the max. She lives with him. He does not want a live-in nanny, but his family say he needs one, and he don't want it. He don't want it. He attracted to her, but he don't want it. This book is insanely good, and Cade Eaton, if this becomes a film, should be cast as Cole Hauser, specifically Kip from Yellowstone. I haven't let go of that yet, and I'm not going to. I have mentioned this in probably at least 6 videos so far, and I'm not going to let go of it. So just in case you're wondering who I imagine Cade Eaton to be, it is Kip from Yellowstone. This was fantastic. The forced proximity was so good and I loved it. Okay, next we do have A Cross Country Christmas by Courtney Walsh. I friggin' love this book. This is so good. The forced proximity in this is very, very, very close. We're following Lauren and also Will. Lauren's brother and his wife are having a baby, so she does decide to go home for Christmas. She doesn't do this very often, but she does decide to go home for Christmas, and her brother ends up fixing her up with a lift from his friend Will. Now, Lauren's had a crush for the last decade on Will, and she's been trying to let this go, and now this forced proximity on this road trip home will bring all those feelings back, and it's really good. I really enjoyed this one. It's not too long, very short, and it is perfect for winter and obviously the festive season. So this one is a really good one. Okay, next we do have a little bit of a taboo one, but I really enjoyed this. Okay, I enjoyed it. Do not judge me. It's Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This is forced proximity. It's also age gap and forbidden romance, so you will see it pop up in there as well. This one is following Jordan and Pike. Jordan is dating Pike's son. She has nowhere to go, and Pike allows her to move in with them because he can see that she needs help. So she moves in with them, and she is now living with her boyfriend and her boyfriend's dad, who she has a crush on. Pike is 38, Jordan is 19, and things get a little steamy. As far as I remember, there was no cheating in here. It was, you know, glances and things like that, but nothing actually happened between these two until her relationship with her boyfriend was no longer. And I really thoroughly enjoyed myself with this. It was very good, and I had a good time, and I will take no questions at this time. Thank you. Next, we do have The Bride Test by Helen Huang. This one follows Kai and also Esme, and they end up in an arranged marriage. He has autism, and he is struggling with grief as well. And this arranged marriage ends up being set up by his mother. They end up obviously living together, hence the forced proximity, and this relationship is the sweetest relationship I think I might have ever read. It's absolutely beautiful. It's very sweet, and I really loved this one. It was very good, and I would highly recommend. Obviously quite a lot of representation in this with the grief and the autism, but I really would recommend this one. It was very good. Next we do have Grumpy Sunshine, and I'm going to start off with a book I've already mentioned, and that one is Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. This one, Georgette is very sunshiny, and Travis is the biggest grump you're gonna find. Perfect. Then we do have Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, the third and final book in the Brown Sisters series. This one is really cute. We follow Eve, and we also follow, I've just looked at this, Jacob Wayne as well. Eve accidentally bumps into Jacob Wayne with her car when she goes for an interview at his hotel. B&B. At his B&B. She goes for an interview. She's trying to get her shit together, and her parents have told her that she needs to get a job or she's cut off from her trust fund. So she's trying to get a job at this B&B, and she ends up running out on the interview because it doesn't go very well, because he's like, you're a hot mess. No. So she runs out on the interview. She ends up accidentally running Jacob over, and she then ends up staying to help him out with the B&B because he breaks his leg. And it's very cute, and I really enjoyed this one. She is sunshine all day long, and he is very grumpy. Again, this could be deemed forced proximity as well. Really good. Really enjoyed this one. I would recommend this entire series, quite frankly. Just read it. It's really good. Next, we do have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. This one was really cute, and I really enjoyed it. We're following Mika Moon, who is a witch, but she is on YouTube pretending to be a witch, even though she's actually a witch. And she ends up getting a call from this kind of like orphanage, if you like. I don't know how to explain it. Nowhere house, where 3 witches are living, young witches are living with a group of adults that help these witches out. Now, this guy that gives her a call is convinced that she is actually a witch and she can help the girls out. She goes to Nowhere House to start teaching the girls, and she ends up meeting Jamie, who also works there, and their relationship kind of develops from there, and it's really, really good. She, again, Mika, is very much full of sunshine, and Jamie is very, very grumpy indeed. But this was really, really good. Again, could be forced proximity. They live together at Nowhere House, so could work for that as well. Next, we do have one of my favourite series of all time, and it is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. In this one, we're following Calla, who lives with her mum and her stepdad, and she gets a call one day from a woman. Basically, her mum took her away from Alaska, where they lived at the time, when she was very, very young, and her dad decided to stay behind because he had a very important job. Her mum couldn't do the small town life anymore, and they moved away. Her mum remarried, and she's been brought up with her mum and Simon, her stepdad. So she ends up getting a call one day from a stranger saying that your dad is dying and he would really like to see you. Can you come over to Alaska? Turns out she's just lost her job, so she's like, well, sod it, I'll go. I'm interested to meet this man and find out what happened and why he decided to abandon us. So she goes to Alaska and she meets the guy there that is going to take her from the main airport to the Alaska, to the place where they're going, and his name is Jonah. He is miserable as sin, and has a vendetta against Calla a little bit, because he's like, well, you don't care about your dad and I do, so you shouldn't be here, you have no right. And it just kind of goes from there. I don't want to say too much more on the synopsis, but it kind of goes from there. This is one of the sweetest love stories I've ever read, and I really enjoyed it, and all of the side characters are so important. And again, I love one of those books that it's not just focusing on the main two characters, the side characters play really heavy parts in the story as well, and I really, really loved this one, so this was fantastic. And then the last one for this trope is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I truly, truly enjoyed this book. It was very, very good. We're following Knox and also Naomi. Naomi basically gets a call from her sister, her twin sister Tina, to say that she's in trouble and she needs some help. So Naomi makes her way to Knockmount, and she ends up she finds out when she gets to town that a lot of people have some hatred towards Naomi, until she suddenly realised that it's Tina that's the problem. They're identical twins, and Knox is one of those people with an issue, and he very quickly realises that she is not Tina, she is Tina's twin sister that nobody knew about either. So Naomi then goes to the hotel where Tina's told her to meet her, and finds a young child about 11 years old called Waylay. Turns out it's her niece, Tina's daughter, and Tina has left her there and basically said to Naomi, I am in bother, I gotta go, I am a shit mum, and you need to look after Waylay, so bye. And she ends up finding herself in this small town where she has nowhere to stay, she's got no money, she's got no transport, and she's struggling a lot. And Knox reluctantly ends up helping her out for the sake of Waylay, not for the sake of Naomi, and giving her a place to stay, and their relationship goes from there. Knox is very, very grumpy, and Naomi is like a ray of sunshine. Naturally, it's the grumpy sunshine trope. And I really, really enjoyed this one. It's very, very good. It is a chunky read, but it is so worth it, and the rest of the series is also incredible, so would 10 out of 10 recommend this one. Okay, and last but by no means least, we do have Forbidden Love, which is my biggest stack. We start off with two books I've already mentioned. So we do have Lights Out. Again, these two are teammates, so it is kind of, they're very much so discussing the fact that they probably shouldn't be together because they're teammates. It would affect the team if they broke up. How would that make them both feel? So it's forbidden romance in that sense. So this covers quite a few of these tropes. Next, we obviously have Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I did mention this when I mentioned it just now, but it is forbidden romance. Obviously, she's dating his son to start off with. Then we do have Mile High by Liz Tomford. I've only recently read this one, and this is following Xander's and also Stevie. Xander's is a hockey player and Stevie is a stewardess on the hockey team's private jet. It is forbidden romance in the sense that Stevie could get fired from her job if she's caught fraternising with anyone on the team. So that is where the forbidden romance comes in. I really like this one. It is a very chunky one, but it really does explore these two characters very, very heavily, and who they are as people, and their character arcs are really, really good. And we also explore like their friendships and their family dynamics as well, which I really, really enjoyed. So I had a very good time with this one. Then we do have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This is a romantasy, and I got an arc of this earlier on in the year and really loved it. It was my favourite book of the year for like 2 weeks until I read Binding 13. But I loved this one. We're following Freya, and in this world basically there is a situation in which some people have the blood of the gods running through their bodies, and it gives them powers and stuff. So her husband, for example, can control like waters and fish and stuff, so he's like constantly taking the fish out of the fjord because he is a fisherman. And she ends up in a situation one day where she ends up fighting this man called Bjorn, who can wield fire. I can't really remember what his power is or who the god is whose magic that he wields, but he's a very strong man, and she ends up in a fight with him one day at the insistence of his father, Bjorn's father, and she ends up revealing that she is a shield maiden. Now, she's kept this very quiet all of her life because her father and her mother have told her to do so. She ends up revealing by accident that she's a shield maiden, and she ends up being taken by this group of people to basically go and help them with this war that they're in. And she does so, and she ends up, their relationship, Freya and Bjorn's relationship, is forbidden for reasons that I do not want to reveal to you because it would spoil it. But it is a forbidden relationship, forbidden romance essentially. But this is fantastic, absolutely brilliant book, and would highly recommend this one. It's really good, and if this doesn't kind of like blow up this year, we'll be really surprised. Next, we do have the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. We follow our main character, whose name I cannot remember because it's been a while since I read this one, Lana. And she is a serial killer. Now, she is a serial killer for good reason. This is a revenge plot, very heavy revenge plot. The romance, forbidden romance, comes in with Logan, who is the FBI agent unknowingly investigating her. He's investigating all of these murders. He does not know Lana is the serial killer, and this is absolutely brilliant. The spice isn't as heavy as I hoped it would be, but the story, the plot, the revenge, everything about it is so good, and I loved this. It was fantastic. This is the bind up. Essentially, it is like 5 novellas, if you like, and this is the bind up of all of them, and I just cannot recommend this book enough. It is fucked up, check your trigger warnings, but it's really good. The next one is a book that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to everybody, but I loved this book. It is all kinds of messed up, but check, before you even think about picking this up, please 100% check your trigger warnings, because there is every single trigger in here, and it is very messy. But it is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. So we are following Cora, who is on a night out with her sister, I think for a sister's hen do. Oh no, sorry, sister's birthday party. And she ends up leaving the bar quite drunk. I think her purse gets nicked. Yeah, stolen wallet, leaving her stranded and dependent on Dean, her arch nemesis and ultimate thorn in her side. Dean is also her sister's boyfriend. So she ends up calling Dean to come pick her up, and when they're out in the parking lot and she's about to get in the car, both Dean and Cora end up being kidnapped. They end up being forced to, like, in this cellar, and then literally the like horrendous things end up happening in that cellar to both Dean and Cora, and it is absolutely awful. But it is forbidden romance in the sense that through their trauma bonding, they end up with feelings for each other. They end up trauma bonding and with feelings for each other, and I was so invested in this story. I sobbed. It was heartbreaking, and it was terrifying and really gross, but the whole thing was so beautiful at the same time, and I absolutely loved this story. It was really good, but for the love of God, check your trigger warnings, please, because this has a whole list of triggers that should come with it. I'm just trying to check now to see if there are actually any triggers in the book itself. There should be. There absolutely should be, and I am shooketh to find that there are no triggers in here. There is a helpline at the back for National Sex Assault Hotline, so you can see at least one of the triggers in there. But yeah, through trauma bonding, they end up with building up feelings in a relationship and stuff. And then the final one I have for this trope is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I adore this book. I haven't read it for a few years. I read it when it first came out, and I haven't read it for a few years, and I absolutely love it. We are following Alex, who is the First Lady's son, so the President's son, and we are following Henry, who is the Prince Henry. So it's forbidden in a sense that, you know, they are, well, Henry is a royal and Alex is the First Lady's son, so they are very much so in the public eye and also queer. So some people would see that as forbidden. I don't see an issue with it, but in that sense apparently it's forbidden. So this one is fantastic. They start off as rivals, quite heavily rivals, and then they end up building up this friendship and then relationship, and it's absolutely adorable. And I actually really loved the movie. I thought the movie was fantastic. I've seen it twice at least since it came out. I do want to reread this one soon though, because I really enjoyed it. So yeah, those are some recommendations for some of my favorite tropes. Chat to me in the comments down below. Have you got any recommendations for me based off of these tropes? I know some of these books are quite popular. I did try and put in some not as well-known books as well. But yeah, have you got any recommendations for me based on these, my favourite tropes? And what are some of your favourite tropes and some of your favourite books based off of those tropes? I'm interested to know. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I shall see you in whatever comes next. Bye for now.